I had dreams of playing with other musicians and in other bands, but the idea of playing in Miles's band was beyond my dreams. It wasn't possible for me to ever think that I would ever play with Miles Davis. That was just another level that I wasn't, that was in the God level, I wasn't in that level.
Miles happened to come in to the club with his girlfriend at the time, was Betty Mayberry. And, he came into the club and listened to Dave, and after the set, he came up to me and he said, tell the bass player if he gets a ticket and comes to New York, he can work with me. So I told Dave that, and Dave was like, he didn't believe it. He didn't believe that was gonna happen. And, sure enough, a ticket came.
My mother calls me in a doctor's office in Brooklyn. I was home at that time. I come from Brooklyn, and she said, Tio Macero, somebody wants you to come to the studio, record Miles Davis. I said, what? I said, come on. So I rushed to the studio, 52nd and Madison, which is where they recorded. I did this track on the corner, first track, whatever it is. He said to me, join the band. He kind of said, join my band.
My friends, we all the musicians, we all knew his voice, and so we would all imitate him, and we would call each other and say, hey, how you doing? So this particular time, he called me, and so he says, Gary, this is Miles Davis. He said, I'd like you to join the band. And so I'm thinking it was one of my friends, I'm saying, who is this? Is this Jag? Come on, Jag, stop playing. And he said, no, this is Miles. I said, come on, man. And finally, he began to get irritated, and I realized, oh, man, this is really Miles.
I was playing with him for like 2 months, and he never hired me. He never told me, you are playing with our band now, So I just want him to say that, And I asked him, I'm really playing together, what is happening? And he said, did you play yesterday? Did you play last night? And I said, yeah. He said, are you playing tonight? I said, yeah. So?
I had been hearing rumors that Miles was looking for me. And I didn't believe any of those rumors, I was like, Miles Davis, no way, And so as time passed, I was hearing those rumors more and more. So finally, Donald Byrd, who was my roommate, said to me, look, when Miles calls, I said, what do you mean, when Miles calls? He said, he's gonna call, and when he calls, tell him you're not working with anybody. And I said, Donald, I could never do that to you. I mean, you started me off on my career. You introduced me to Alfred Lion and Frank Wolf at Blue Note. You got me my contract. You did all of these things for me. You showed me about publishing and keeping my tunes in my company. I could never do that to you. He said, shut up. He said, if Miles calls, tell him you're not working with anybody. And I said, okay, And the next day, Miles called. And his first question was, you working with anybody? And I said, no.
My experience with Miles is that he was the best listener who also led a band that I've ever seen. Miles is playing an E-flat, and I'm holding some kind of E-flat fifth on the organ, so it's a constant drone, and he plays an E-flat, which is as in tune as any trumpet player can, that you wouldn't say it's out of tune. But Miles went to his tubing for a split second and tuned it even better. Now who would be listening that hard?
The very beginning when I started playing with Miles, he told me once, don't bang, just play. So, and that was it. So I didn't really understand him, and I thought, okay, don't bang, so maybe I'm banging things. I'm playing too loud, I thought. So, so I start playing just, little things like. And then he was looking at me, the whole concert. And I would pick up another little thing and go, you know, like, because I didn't want to bang, you know. Huh? So then, next time that he told me anything, then he said, you listen and you play. And in reality, there was very few words, but it was one of the greatest lessons, musical lessons that I ever had. You listen and you play. And that gave me total freedom to play as long as I was listening.
We finally finished this recording, and we go outside to go home. And we're kind of milling about, and John McLaughlin says, Herbie, can I speak to you a minute? I said, sure. So he walks over and he whispers to me. He says, what we did, was it any good or what? I said, John, welcome to a Miles Davis session. Because I said, I don't know, but when the records come out, they sound fine.
I don't think he said 3 or 4 words to me about the music, ever, about what to play. He said once play thirds. I don't know what he meant. You know, I said, I guess play thirds under the melody. I don't know, he would play like, you know, I said, I guess he meant that. I don't know, you know, like, he said very little. And I think that to the other musicians, from what I understand, not only in my time with him, but the past, the musicians in the past and in the 80s, he also said very little.
He would always say, play what you don't know, which means you had to know everything to get back to zero. That was my interpretation of it. But if you listen to Miles and listen to Train, you listen to all them cats, the exploration takes you back to the embryo. You did a whole full life. So 360 is 0. He would always say, I don't want you to play what you know, play what you don't know.
I did not like the music. And it took me, as I say, 3 to 6 months of these nighttime sessions in these hotels of hearing this music. One night I probably had something to smoke, and it's just like, I said, Miles, I think I hear something what you're trying to do. I mean, it dawned on me what he was trying to do.
Musically, it was an incredible, uplifting experience. It was an adventure all of the time, and everyone always gave their all on stage. And we all knew it was an adventure, and we were all searching in our own ways for different forms and different ways of making music.
I learned a whole bunch of new things about Miles when I began playing with him that I didn't realize before. The gift of listening and knowing how to listen, I found that out early in the game with Miles. It was incredible how the notes that came from him were a real combination of his own creativity and his ability to hear what everybody else was playing and incorporate that into kind of this core that would come out of his trumpet. Miles would play a phrase, and then I knew what it was that we were all doing. But it took Miles's voice musically, you know, that sound through his trumpet, and his being able to, his ability to hear what that could be and provide the glue to bring it all together and make it sound like a real band.